Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Not sure why my camera is not working. Can you guys see me or no?
No,
Yeah, no, my camera is not even off. I'm not sure. You guys can see my shared screen, correct?
yes.
Okay, good. So that's what's important. All right, we'll just wait a few minutes and then we'll get started. Hopefully more people will join in today.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Robert.
I don't see you, Adona. You're not on.
My camera is not working. I have no idea. It says it's on, but I don't, if I leave now, it's gonna kick you guys all out. So I just shared my screen before and it worked. So as long as you guys see my screen when I pull it back up, we'll be okay. While we wait, just a few housekeeping. Please don't forget to register for the holiday party, which is December 4th. We are sending text messages and emails. So I hope you guys make the time and attend our holiday party at Galloping Hill on December 4th, 6 to 10. I did change the DJ, so if that's preventing you from registering, just so you guys know, we have a new DJ. And it'll be a lot of fun. And two, I'm just going to encourage all of you guys that are citizens, please, to go out and vote today.
I voted.
Yes, I went first thing this morning. It's important to, that's our right. And I hope you guys all go out and vote. Robert, I'm assuming you went already, right?
I went on Saturday,
There you go.
the first day that you could vote.
Awesome. Yeah, so
And the line was long, I'll tell you, on Saturday.
really?
Yep.
Okay. I went this morning in and out, but I did go like 7:15. There was like no one there.
I went. It was so easy, you know? It was quick, in and out. My husband was trying to send me somewhere the other day to go vote the day early, but I couldn't find the place he was trying to send me. I was like, give me the address, you know? Realtors work on addresses.
For next time, because I honestly did not know where to go. If I wanted to vote early, do I go to the same place or there's only certain locations?
No, there's a website you can go to and it shows you all of the early voting places.
Okay.
Yeah,
in
the only
county
thing you
that-
have to, right, the only thing you have to do with the early voting, I did it last week, is you have to stay in your county.
Right.
And you
I
could
was
go
gonna
to
say that.
any place, yeah, in your county. And
One-
when I went, it was pretty easy, but when I got there like 15 minutes before they opened. All the people online were telling me how bad it was the day before, that the line like wrapped around the block.
Interesting.
So
Yeah,
I
there
was
were a lot
lucky.
of people, that's probably why it hasn't been long lines today. I think a lot of people
Yes.
voted early.
Yeah, agreed. I think so.
I found it weird is they didn't even ask me for my ID.
Get out.
Yeah, they didn't.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They have to
That
get your driver's
that troubles
license. How
me.
they know your
Yeah.
name?
Nope. They asked me for my name, date of birth, and my home address, and they're like, here's your
Oh.
receipt, go and vote. But I'm like,
No, they
That
still
could have
should have
been-
asked you for ID. They should have asked you.
yep.
Oh my God. That happened last time my niece went to vote, and this was in New York. And when she went to vote, they said, sorry, you already voted. And she said, no, I didn't. And that's happened to a few people. Boy.
It could have been a neighbor that went on my behalf.
Oh, me, I had to give my driver photo ID.
Nope. didn't
Yeah, me
ask
too.
me. So, anyways, we have about 14 people. We'll wait another minute or two and then we'll get started. I do realize, for you guys that are on, documents are disappearing from our loops. Not sure if you guys noticed that, but I just called for an emergency meeting with Dotloop because I honestly cannot tell what happened, why documents keep disappearing from the loop and then showing up the next day. So just yesterday alone, I added something to New Jersey MLS, and then this morning I looked, it was gone, so I added it back.
Are you kidding me? Oh my
I'm
God.
not. I'm not. So I do have a meeting. This today I just scheduled one for 3 o'clock, and I know I'm gonna be with Fran. So Fran, you'll be there with me.
Okay.
Well, I said 3:15 because I know you have a 3 o'clock, just so that we can take a look again with Dotloop. I
Mm.
want to know who's going in, removing documents. And then even with the blank W-9, I noticed on the listings, they removed the blank one and added the signed W-9, which obviously we don't use. So
Yeah. You know what's so crazy is if for one whole week, and I wrote a lot of offers in 1 week, it was working beautifully, right? And then all of a sudden things start disappearing. It's nuts.
I was joking with an agent before here in Rockaway. I said, yep, every night when I'm home laying down, I'm like, which dot loop should I go in? Which loop should I go in and remove documents so I can have the agents call me? She started laughing. So obviously it's not me deleting forms, but I really don't have an answer for you guys, but I will show you today in the event you are creating a loop and you don't see the document. I really want to show you guys where to find it. And then also for next week, I do have somebody with solar panels that's going to give us a presentation for very short, like 15 minutes. And the reason why I'm going to add that to our session is because if you guys are selling properties, you have noticed with people buyers having a hard time getting homeowners insurance because of the roof. And I really thought we need to just have a little bit of background, especially on solar panels, because buyers will start asking, just because the solar companies are connected with some roofing companies. So that could help your potential sellers and buyers. So next week we're doing that. And then I have Paula from Rockaway who's gonna also be on our Zoom. She was suggesting that I help you guys create folders and you guys have your personal folders with the documents, and hopefully it'll make it easier. So that will be next week.
You mean folders in Dotloop?
Yes, so
Oh,
like
okay.
have Adona's listing forms, Adona's rental forms. So if you don't want to create a whole loop, because I've noticed some agents, especially doing leasing applications, you don't want to go ahead and create a whole loop because you are just having them fill out an application. You don't know if the landlord is going to accept them, so they don't want to go through the whole hassle of creating the whole loop unless. So I'm just going to show you guys how to create your own folders and add your own personal documents that you want. So that will be next week. For today, I want to show you guys on the landlord side and tenant side, and show you where you can find your documents. Now, if you guys have any suggestions, please, look, the Tuesday sessions are just for New Jersey agents, and I really want it to be interactive. I don't want you guys to shy away from asking questions or making suggestions to me. If you feel like I should do a mastermind on something specific, please let me know. Even if you don't want to say it out loud, you want to reach out to me saying, hey, I really would love for you to go over this, and not, make it known, I'm more than happy to do that. Us leadership, we're here to help all of you guys to make it easier. So if you want me to go over something differently, let me know. Gary, you want to say something, or that was an accident?
Accident.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm sorry, my camera's on, but for whatever reason, it's not working. So, but you, just let me know if you guys can see my screen once I share it. You guys all see my loop, correct? This is my personal. All right, so a few masterminds that we have done, we did the buyer loop, which we have spent quite a amount of time in it, but we can always go back to it. We also did the listing loop 2 weeks ago. And now I know last week, Fran Blakely did a great job as well. And then today we're gonna do the landlord and tenant. And if you guys have questions, please like ask me. I'm not monitoring the chat too much, so feel free to speak up if you guys, if I don't answer your questions. All right, so here is our loop. So we're gonna go add a loop. I'm just gonna feel free if you're following along to create your own loop so you can use it as an example. So I'm gonna just say landlord loop sample or example, whatever you guys wanna do. So this is the landlord loop, continue. Now, I really thought, and a lot of you guys have agreed that it was very easy the way we had changed the loop templates. So for example, if you at the top, this is obviously the buyer referral, the listing loop, that's if you're selling the property. And then if you just scroll a little bit more down, you see that we have the landlord loops for GSMLS, NJ, Hudson, Monmouth, All Jersey. And then at the bottom, you see we have the tenant loop. So do you guys just tell me what you want me to create, a GSMLS or NJMLS or Hudson? If you're not gonna say anything, I'm just gonna pick the first one.
Yeah, do Garden State. I think
Garden Estate.
Okay, so here's the Garden State loop. Watch, everything is like gone. All right, so view loop. Now, if you guys did not join our mastermind when we created a profile, please go back into our hub and watch it. I created a loop recently, and by having my profile done, it saved so much time. I helped somebody else write an offer, and she's like, wow, like this is so much easier because she didn't have to go and keep adding her name and the office address and the broker. So it's so much easier if you guys go ahead and create your profiles beforehand. And by doing that, you just click on your profile and then just go to your account, go to profile and add the information. So here is my landlord loop. This is what it will look like. If it says required, that means it's required and you need to get that signed. So here's your tracking form for rentals, then the CIS. This is an exclusive listing agreement for Remax Select. That means that if you're not listing on the MLS, you have an exclusive listing. This is your informed consent to dual agency, truth in renting, consent for electronic signatures. You have the lead paint disclosure for leases, and then as well as the brochure. The only time this is going to be optional is obviously if the house was built after 1978, you can just ask the admin and then they will be able to change this to optional. So you won't have to have your client sign. And then here is the landlord notice to tenant regarding flood risk. This is required. Then you have the GSMLS listing agreement. You have the Attorney General memorandum. You have the blank W-9, the lease application. Again, the lease application really should not be on the listing loop, but you guys have been asking because when you're representing the tenant as well, you're using this loop to pull out the listing. So again, I'm going to change this to optional now that I noticed, because it's not, you as the landlord agent is not filling out the lease application. And I think that's where the confusion is when you have your own listing and rental listing, and then you are representing the tenant. The best way to do it is if you went and created a new loop for the tenant. But again, this will be changed to optional. Now, before you even begin, you should add your clients because that way it will auto-populate and it'll save you a lot of time. So again, just like all the other loops, scroll to the bottom and then add the people. So Fran is going to be my client again. And then her role is going to be landlord. Now you can feel free to add any information, street address, anything else that you want to add for her. And then I'll just do one person for today, I think. And then if you guys want me to add a second one, I can go ahead and add them later. So we'll just add Fran for now. And then me, I am going to put myself as the listing agent. All right, so here we go. We're going to start off at the CIS. So you see how much easy it is because I already added the contacts. Now it's already listing. So listing agent, my name, landlord one, Fran Blakely. Autofill. And now if you scroll at the bottom, it's already there for you. So all you have to do is just confirm that it's correct. And you don't even have to put the date. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, because once Fran signs, it's gonna show up there anyway, so it's fine. And then save. Go back. Now, the informed consent to dual agency. Again, it's gonna autofill for you, so just confirm. So listing agent, landlord. Autofill. Now you're gonna put in the property address because obviously if I had put in the address, let me just mute everyone because I hear some background noise. And if you need to speak up, please just go in and unmute yourself. So if I created the loop at the actual address, the address would have been up here, but because I just did rental, it's not gonna show up. So I'll just do 1, 2, 3 Main. I'm putting Rockaway because that's where I am today. And see, it's already has my name, Remax Select. And do you see how like it already populates our office where my address is? Because on my profile, I had made that change. So now it saves so much time, right? So all I have to do is just sign it here, add signature, and then I'll just put in the date, even though it's not required because it's already here. If I go too fast, please stop me. And then save. Make sure you save them as you're filling out any information. All right, so I'll go back. Now, what I'm going to tell you about the dual agency agreement is that it doesn't just mean you specifically as the listing agent representing another bot if you're representing a tenant. This also includes any Remax Select agent that will bring you guys a tenant. So let's say me, I have the listing and now Marilyn from Westfield has the tenant. That's a dual agency. So you want to make sure you have this signed beforehand, just so that your owner, the landlord, is confirming that they're okay with the dual agent. Here's the truth in renting. So you have to send this to your landlords together when you're sending them the listing. So at the bottom, you do need to add their signature. So assign field, Fran Blakely. Save. Whether they read the 55 pages, it's up to them. I hope they do, at least scroll through, but you do need to get the sign at the bottom from your landlord. You're going to say, oh, they're not, what's the big deal? Or, you know, like I already have everything signed. If something happened, the landlord is going to come after you, regardless if they're your best friend. If something happens to them, they get a lawsuit, they're going to blame you because you did not provide this form. So please make sure you do.
And Adona, just the benefit of doing it through Dotloop also is that the activity log shows that you did send it to them. So it is a documented evidence, you know, that you did this, and as opposed to handing them that document of, you know, if anybody does in-person stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's good.
We spent a lot of times, the leadership team, to get this for you guys. We're protecting you. I know it looks like a lot of forms, but if you create your profile, you see how quickly I went over 3 documents. It's already there. You're just reviewing, make sure, you know, this is a computer. Sometimes you might miss a step and you might have something missing. So just review them. Most of the time it'll be accurate. Now, the next document is the consent for electronic signature. So if you're having them sign your documents electronically, you have to have this. So listing, I'm gonna have Fran Blakely, autofill. So it's already there. See, specific address, Remax select, my address, Fran's signature. Now you can add her email here if you wanted to. Again, I'm not gonna say it's a requirement because it's, again, like Fran said earlier, it's documented on Dotloop. So it'll show where I sent it. So save. Lead paint disclosure. So let's assume this house was built prior to 1978. So listing agent, landlord one, I'm gonna put in Fran Blakely. And let me make sure everything is good. Autofill. There you go. So this document, I'm gonna show you guys, make sure you give them, you shouldn't be checking the boxes for them. You have to let them do that for you guys. All right. You should not be filling out these boxes. And then you sign here. Now, if I'm just gonna save this, and then if I was gonna share it with Fran, where it says I can sign, I'm gonna say can fill and sign. So that way I'm giving her permission to go ahead and check box the appropriate boxes. Okay? I know sometimes we're working on the go, you're having a conversation, you're checking the boxes. I would honestly, tell you that it's best to allow them to check box them. Okay? Go back. Now, some of you have brought to my attention, well, if you give them permission to fill and sign, they can go ahead and change listing forms. That is true. They can go ahead and alter any of the documents that you give them permission. So what I would tell you is the lead paint and also the flood risk notice, I would send them together because those are the only two that they have to check box and sign. I would send that separately and then everything else just to sign because you're already pre-filling those documents. With the lead paint disclosure, and I know Fran wants to say something, I'm just gonna say, if you're sending them the lead paint, make sure you send the lead paint disclosure brochure together with the lead paint. Go ahead, Fran.
Just when the documents come back to you, make sure they did check those boxes because for every missing box, it is a $2,000 fine on that lead paint form, up to $11,000. So if the real estate commission were to come in here or Department of Environmental Protection, we would be definitely hit on that. Or you would be hit on that. And, you just because you send them something, when it comes back, if it says signed, you want to check it and make sure it was executed properly. That's all.
Correct. And then the lead paint brochure, you have to assign their initial. They have to initial that they have read and reviewed. Whether they read it or not, it's not my problem, not your problem. You got this initial, that's all we care. So please make sure you add their initial at the bottom and then you send it along with the lead paint. Fran Blakely did 2 trainings on rentals. We have recordings. It's so important because now when you're getting listings or if you're having your clients buying investment properties for rental purposes, you have to let them know about the lead paint inspection that's required. Don't let that just slide through and then they're going to tell you, well, you never told me. I would not have bought this house. So maybe Fran will do another one in the future just to go over and refreshment. I know you guys message us asking for those videos. We do have them. Rob really highly recommended that you guys all take that training. It's important to know all the new rules, the regulations, even the old sorry, that was so if you guys need to refreshment, just let us know. We'll put that on the calendar again. All right. After that, we have
Donna, just to
yes.
interrupt for a second, there's something in the chat box.
Oh,
Eddie Torres is asking, is it necessary to have the landlord perform a lead-based paint inspection if the house was built after 1978?
No.
And the actual title for it is a lead paint certification at this point when you're doing rentals that were built prior to 1978. So it's a certification, and some towns have someone on staff to provide the certification. So it's not a full-blown lead paint inspection, but there are different types of certifications depending on the town. But after 1978, they stopped using lead-based paint, so it's not required for those properties.
Let me
Are you
see.
still there?
Yes, I'm here. All right, so this is the landlord note, the flood risk. This is a required, so landlord 1 is Fran. Autofill. So I would just put in the address here for her. And then just block lots. And then they have to answer these questions. Please don't answer it for them. Allow the landlord to fill this out. There's FEMA's map, floodplain, like they have to know, right? Even if it's a high-rise building, that if they're renting their apartment, let's say it's on the 15th floor, but the parking is on the main level, the tenant has the right to know whether that parking lot has ever, or the common area has ever been flooded. So this is why this is required. As you notice, question 1 and 2 cannot be checked unknown. They have to have a yes or no. And then the third one can be yes, no, or unknown. And please make sure that they fill this out and then they sign it. Fran, do you have anything else to add to this form?
No, that's good.
Self-explanatory.
And if they need help, you have to help them, you know, you have to direct them to the FEMA flood map to get the answers. I mean, and they're not just talking about, make sure question number 3, they understand that, let's say you have like a back part of the yard that floods or a back part of a driveway. They're asking question any areas of the property, not just inside the house. So, because if somebody parks a car in a driveway and then they, you know, it does flood, then their car gets ruined. You got to be careful. So just make sure you explain it to them.
Yep. All right, the next document we have is now you have the listing agreement, obviously self-explanatory, so I'm gonna put in Fran Blakely. And the only reason why her name didn't auto-populate under seller 1 is because GSMLS, we use the same form for both residential sales and rentals. And because I already listed Fran Blakely as a landlord, she's not going to come up as a seller 1. Okay, so that is the only reason why you see that it didn't auto-populate, autofill. So I'm just putting her that she is seller 1. And then see, my name is the listing agent. Now the listing broker, obviously your broker needs to sign this. I'm the broker of the office for Morristown, so obviously I sign my own listings, but for you it would be your manager. So let's say somebody in Franklin Lakes was doing a GSMLS listing, it would be Fran Blakely as the listing broker. Autofill. And then this is where you add in the information. So you add in the owner's name. So it would be Fran Blakely. And then here, broker firm name, Remax Select. This, guys, eventually when you create your profile, so Dotloop, you know, they went through just all the changes just like we did. And they're not just working with Remax Select or just Remax. They have different states too that they are, everybody has different forms. Eventually, you're gonna notice that under broker firm, if you created your profile, this will auto-populate for you as well. For right now, because the forms have changed so much, so many times, and maybe they will change again in the coming weeks or months, they haven't spent the time to actually change this form. But eventually it will be where if you have your profile set up, you will see it would auto-populate. What's my address? 1 Madison Avenue. Madison Avenue. I am all about compliance. I know this is like tedious, but you really want to have a completed listing form. So don't just like leave this blank. Oops. You add in the phone number. And now, as you can see, the listing, it says sale or rental. I'm gonna put here, just fill in NA, rental, I'm just gonna say it's $2,500. This is the property address, so 123, sorry. 123 Main Street, Rockaway, New Jersey. And then this is where your listing form is. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna list it on the 6th, and I'm gonna do a 6-month agreement. So I'll go to May 5th. All right, so that's 6-month agreement. You can do 1 year, whatever amount that you guys agreed with the landlord. So she gave me 6 months. Now, agency relationship, here you get to pick. So seller's landlord agent only. You should not pick this one because that means no Remax Select agent can bring the tenant to you. Okay, this means your landlord doesn't want any Remax Select to be a dual agent. You only specifically represent the landlord. That's why, guys, because of this very reason, they created they allowed the designated agency, because that means your landlord doesn't want you to represent the tenant, but another Remax Select can bring the tenant to us, to your landlord. All right, that's the first box. Second box says that you can be a disclosed dual agent or another Remax Select can bring a tenant, right? All allowed. The third one is a transaction broker. We don't do transaction brokers, right? I hope you guys pick wisely here. And then the fourth one is the landlord doesn't mind another Remax Select bringing the tenant, but you cannot represent a tenant. So that's where the designated agency comes in play. And you'll need to get that signed. There's a form which I will show you. So most of them will probably be the second one, business as usual. That's what we're trying to do. So, but just so you know, you have options. If the landlord's really picky and they don't want you to mix representing both sides, this is where you have options. Again, I know Fran Blakely can touch base on this. They kind of made a mistake here. We always take exclusive listings. So I know this verbiage here it's very confusing, which it says that whether this is an exclusive or non-exclusive. It's always exclusive. You do have a note all in bold here that says you have to have an exclusive right to run in order to go on the MLS. So this is always an exclusive.
And those boxes were just put in there because the law required them to, and it was kind of missed a little bit, but hopefully they can get that changed in the future. But for now, you cannot use these forms if you are not doing an exclusive listing agreement that's going on the MLS. So always
Correct.
check exclusive.
And then here you have the key box. If the landlord authorizes you or not to put a lockbox, she did. Compensation, again, you see like GSMLS is, they're only using one form, so make sure you put in the commission on the right side. the percentage of rental, the flat amount, other method, I'm just gonna say 1 month broker fee. Business as usual, it's not a fair housing violation if the landlord requests that the tenant pays the 1 month broker fee. That doesn't prevent them from still doing just like it used to be in the past. Well, don't know what happens if a tenant agent has a tenancy agency agreement that the tenant agreed to only pay half a month. Well, when they call you, I wouldn't make it so known and put it on the MLS. But if somebody's calling, contacting you to schedule a showing, just make sure you let the tenant agent know, like, hey, I have a listing agreement that the landlord is requesting the tenant pays the 1 month broker fee. You can always say it that way. Now I know in the beginning, it was questionable, but that is now confirmed that you can have your landlord can still request a 1 month broker fee. I know in South Jersey, so if any of you guys are in the South Jersey region, I know that the landlord pays the 1 month broker fee. Again, business as usual, don't try and make any changes. Here you have a payment of compensation commission, let's see, the owner agrees to pay the listing broker or the listing brokers may direct the commission. So this is if you are, let's say you have a tenant that's renting but may want to purchase the property. This is where you can put in like what you should be getting compensated for. So let's say your landlord wants to eventually sell the house. You find them a tenant that will probably want to buy their house. What did you agree on the percentage for introducing the tenant? So this is where you can put in the percentage. Broker protection. This is, let's say you have the listing agreement for 6 months and after 2 months, the landlord says, you know what? I remove it off the market. I don't want to rent it anymore. And you've shown it to like 30 tenants. This is where you get protection in the event that let's say you showed it to, you had 5 brokers that brought in a tenant and then you showed it to 10 people, you have to protect yourself. So I would just say 60 days. Again, this is agreed upon, whatever you feel comfortable. If you had a 1-year listing and you showed it to hundreds of people, that's why it's important to keep track of all the properties, all of the people that came in, and you send them the list. If any of these people end up buying or renting your home in the next 60 days after either the listing expired or they canceled, you're protected. They owe you the commission. This is the sharing of compensation. How much are you willing to give? So usually you can put 0.5, half a month, and then MLS fees. Now, this has been brought up to us many times. All of us, the leadership, we always get these questions from you guys. We are aware that some brokerages have decided to not accept or give out listing fees. Right now, we have not decided that, just because it's still allowed, like nothing is preventing you. If the landlord is saying it's 1 month broker fee and you want to charge $100 MLS, $75, you can still request it. Now, would I let a deal die and not go through for $75 or $100 because the other side doesn't want to pay? No, but you can still, especially on the sales side, if your seller's offering 2%, 2.5%, 3%, you can still request that it's -200, -300. But what I'm going to tell you is that if somebody messages you or calls you and asks you, is your seller or tenant or landlord offering anything, you're going to say it's 0.5 minus 100, 2% minus 100 or minus 200. Don't just say 2% or half a month, because you want to disclose it right off the bat. Don't go after the fact saying, oh, it's minus $100. Okay? Vice versa. When you guys are submitting an application or submitting an offer, make sure you ask them, like, is there a listing fee? Because $100, $200, $300, it's not worth fighting. So
Oh, but Donna,
yes.
so where do we write that MLSB? Like, we should have it written somewhere,
here,
right? What?
minus
That's right
100.
there. Okay, okay.
Minus 150, whatever you guys charge. I mean, depending on the rental amount, right? If it's $5,000 rental, maybe charge 200. Again, we don't tell you guys, you make the call what you want to charge for the listing fee. Now, if your owner says, what is this listing fee for? Usually you can just answer by saying it's for marketing, for the photos, paying the MLS by, you know, putting it on 2-3 different MLSs. So whatever you want, this is where you put in. Consent to sharing compensation. Your owner does or does not. Let's say you got the owner to pay you guys the 1 month broker fee, but they don't want you to share it, then that's where you pick. Or if they say, yep, I want you, let's say they agreed for you to share it, the compensation, then you say they do. Rental transaction, this is where you can put it into what you're offering out. So half a month minus 100, and then transaction brokers, half a month minus 100, sub agents no. And any questions on this form?
There is a question in the chat just saying, I will need a copy of an exclusive listing agreement allowing it to be in MLS. SJ or SMLS does not have their own forms like North Jersey.
So I do actually have that. Is that Joe Daly?
Joe, yeah.
Just let me know if you are Joe Daly, and then I will reach out to you, because we do actually, Deb, if you guys remember Deb, her and I, we did have a form. I think Fran, you helped us
Mm-hmm.
create one. We do have it where you have an exclusive listing, but also allowing to share it on the MLS. So if you are Joe Daly, please text me. I'm gonna put my phone number on the chat. Okay, that is her.
Yeah.
Just text me, and then I will let you know where to find it.
I have a question. Did you say that the landlord has the right to have the tenant pay the rental commission?
That's correct.
So then how does this part B, where you're consenting to the sharing of commission, how does the landlord have the right to have the tenant pay the commission and agree to share it with the listing agent?
Because they're saying this can go either or, right? This is your listing form. Whether your landlord is paying the 1 month broker fee, or you know, the tenant's paying it, they're giving you permission that you can share it.
Okay, so in other words, the tenant's paying the fee.
Mhm.
We would still get, let's say, half a month's rent, and the agent, not necessarily a Remax Select, but some outside agent, would get the balance from their tenant that they brought in?
Correct. There's a form that was recently added to the loop, which I will go over next, which the tenant's agent is supposed to send it with the application, where you kind of guarantee them that, or you agree, consent to share the compensation. Before, and it was Fran Blakely who actually notified the state to let them know that, hey, this says that I'm collecting 1 month, but it does, what's protecting the tenant agent that they would get half a month from what their client is giving. For the most part, guys, we've been doing where if you're sending an application, let's say in for a rental, and you're sharing half and half, you're not giving 1 month to Remax Select and then we pay the other broker half. It's, you get your tenant, you tell them, okay, you're gonna write half a month to Remax Select, half a month to Keller Williams, for example, from the beginning.
So
Right, and so the problem initially was, don't forget the state office is in South Jersey, Southwest Jersey, and South Jersey doesn't operate the way that we do here in North Jersey. So they created the agency agreement that will allow you to get paid from the tenant. Because until that was created, we really couldn't get paid from the tenant when they changed the law. So it's a simple form. It's just kind of like the agreement. And what I've been putting on those agreements is that, whether if I'm the listing agent on a sale, I just put, and I am directing, the compensation be paid to the buyer's agent directly at closing. I don't want to collect that money and then have us have to pay it. And then on the cooperative tenant, you want them to add that the tenant's agent is directing the tenant to make half a month payable to Remax Select and half a month payable to them. So that we don't have to wait to get paid from them either, but Adona's gonna go over that form, so, but I just happened to add that kind of stuff, you know, I just thought, well, I don't wanna get caught having to collect the money and then having to pay somebody.
So
Correct.
effectively, if you send that form with the information to a cooperating agent,
Mhm.
they'll either accept that their tenant is paying and therefore paying half to the listing agent, or they won't show the property to their tenant.
Right, that's what Adona said, you need to
Right.
disclose that in the beginning.
Right. And they make the choice.
Yeah,
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And it's not a fair housing violation where they can tell you like, oh, that's not what the law is. The law is like, we are allowed, the landlord is allowed to still request the tenant to pay the 1 month broker fee.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so here, this is, make sure you sign it. Also, another thing I'm gonna tell you guys, please make sure your manager signs the listing form before you list this on the MLS. You know, I've signed listing forms from some offices where it was after the fact. If you get audited and they see that this listing was in November 5th and your manager is signing in January, they could technically fine you because you listed something without permission. So please make sure you send it from the beginning for your broker manager to sign. It's asking me to sign because I'm the manager of my office, so I sign my own listings. Somebody laughed. Was it Fran?
yes,
Alright.
it was me.
All right, so we're gonna go back. All right, so we signed a listing. This is the Attorney General memorandum, Fran listing. Fran, I don't think they need to sign this, correct? Oh, here. The listing agent. And Fran signs here.
Yep,
Save. So make sure you attach this to the listing. And then you have the lease application. I'm going to show you guys again, like I had said earlier. The landlord agent is not the one filling out the lease application unless you represent the tenant. So this is really going to be on the tenant side, which I will show you guys. Now, I'm going to just add the form because I noticed it's not there. So I'm going to show you guys. So let's say now I notice we don't have the addendum to the listing agreement, right? So that's where we are sharing the commission with the other side. Again,
do you need that?
we don't need it here. We don't need it here.
On Garden State, right,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
So for the listing, these are the only forms you need to get signed. Because I think what the confusion is with us is that a lot of times we represent the landlord and the tenant, right? Because the tenants usually just reach out to you directly and then you do all the paperwork. So that when you guys are looking for the forms, you're trying to use the same loop for the tenant. And that's where it gets confusing because you don't see it here. Technically, this is all you need for the listing. You don't need anything else. I'm gonna quickly, we have about 15 minutes to go over the tenant loop, which you will find the forms that you need on the tenant side. Any questions on the listing? Okay. Let me just see, somebody asked me a question. Okay. So we're gonna go back and then we're gonna create a tenant loop. Continue. Now, all you have to do is scroll at the bottom, click on tenant loop, continue, done, and it will create the loop that you need for the tenant side. View loop. So here you have all the forms that you need on the tenant side. So you have the tracking form, you have the exclusive tenant agency agreement, you have the addendum to agency agreement, the CIS, informed consent, lead paint. Again, I left it here just for a reminder, but again, if you are sending an application, the landlord's agent has to give you guys the lead paint, okay? So I might just switch this to mark it as optional because again, if you're not gonna have your client signed a lead paint, right? It has to be provided to you. Truth in renting, landlord notice to tenant regarding flood. Again, this has to be provided by the listing agent. Here you have the lease application. Okay, so this is where you put in the landlord. Again, you have your tenants, so this is where you can add. I didn't add my client, that's why it's all blank. So let me go back. And then you have the consent for electronic signature, you have the residential lease. Here is the cooperating broker to compensation agreement. You have the informed consent to designated agency, and then you have the non-exclusive tenant agency agreement. So I'm just gonna go add my person first. I'll add Fran again. Her role is now as the tenant. And then here I'm going to be as the tenant's agent. Tenant's agent on this role. So now if I go to lease application, you fill this out for your tenant. I'm gonna add the address. 123 Main Street. Because I didn't have it, I didn't autofill before. So here is where you have to fill it out. Allow your tenant to fill it out, however you guys want to do this. If you're going to have, let's say if I wanted Fran to fill this out, when you go to share, you have to give her permission to auto that can fill and sign. So this is going to be the lease application. And then the one with the cooperating broker, this is the other thing I wanted to show you guys. If you represent the tenant, you want to fill this out when you're sending your lease application. So this is a new form. So if your tenant has to bring a 1-month broker fee, you want to send this to get it signed by the listing agent confirming that they're sharing. So you see, this is the tenant, this is the landlord agent that signs it. So I'm gonna sign it here, and then assuming whoever is the listing agent, you'll add their information right here. And then you fill it out just like before. This is made on today's date. This is for me, so Remax Select. And then this would be the other broker. Their office address. And then this is where the property is. So 123 Main Street, Rockaway. Now this is where you put in your name as the tenant's agent. And then this is the other realtor, other broker realtor. So here it says However, tenant or landlord has decided that it is in their best interest to offer compensation to a cooperating broker and has authorized and instructed in writing its broker to offer compensation to cooperating broker as set forth below. Tenant agent represent the tenant may make an offer, has made an offer, or has entered into a contract to lease the property from landlord. This agreement is entered into to memorize the negotiated and agreed to cooperating compensation between landlord's broker and tenant's broker. So then it says, provided the tenant's broker or landlord brokers receives compensation from the transaction from its principal. The reason why I'm reading this to you guys is you have to see who's giving out the 1 month broker fee. If it's the tenant, it's the tenant. You check box here and then you pick in sharing with the landlord, vice versa, landlord, tenant. Let me see if there's a question. Jeannie just texted me the flood risk doc is not on rental listing loop for New Jersey MLS. I will check that right now, but I did add it this morning. And then here is what you're sharing. Is it a flat fee amount, percentage? I would probably just type in half-month broker fee.
I mean, I usually put 50% of the monthly rent.
You can do it that way too. If you want to do 50% of the $3,000 monthly rent minus 100 listing fee. If they're charging you a listing fee. And then you send it to the landlord's agent to sign as well. Any questions on this form? Look, I've noticed for the most part, it's business as usual for rentals. No landlord agent is asking your tenant to pay 1 month broker fee and not actually share it, but you should really protect yourself and just get in the habit of using the form. If you get audited, you want to have this form in. It's important to get in the habit of using these forms. Now, if you're looking for documents, let's say somebody said, oh, there's a flood risk missing from a document. All you have to do is go to templates. There's 2 folders that you guys need to know. All RE/MAX Select 2024 documents, and you have the New Jersey Realtor documents. If you've never opened this folder before, it's going to ask for you to put your NRD number. So I already did it, so it's already here. If you don't have the flood risk, right here, it's going to be under New Jersey Realtor documents. Any forms that were created by New Jersey, it's going to be here. You will always find it. Tenant, if you just type in tenant, all your tenant documents will come up. All the agency agreement, the non-exclusive, anything that you need, lead paint, it will be here as well. So here you have one, this is for lease, this is for sale. So if you have the tenant, or the landlord, I should say, you pick the first one. This is the tenant. CIS, same thing. The first one is for buyers and sellers. The bottom one is for tenant and landlords. Now, if you're looking for listing forms from the MLSs, it will all be under New Jersey real estate documents. So GSMLS, all of them will be here. New Jersey MLS, all of them will be here. Hudson,
I had a quick question, if that's okay.
yes.
So when I go to put in a new listing, it doesn't automatically have the home buyer's warranty thing in the loop, or the affiliated businesses that we need to fill out as well too for us internally. Can those get added to those individual loops?
Which loops are you saying?
I have a single family home that I'm going to be inputting in for Sea Caucus, so for Hudson MLS, but those associated docs don't filter in there either. Like I have to go and find them to add them into the loop.
On Hudson, on the listing side or purchase?
Yeah, no, on the listing side.
You got it.
Thank you.
Yep. So I do have a meeting with Dotloop today because I do notice the documents are dropping, but just remember, any form that you guys need, just go to add a document, templates, all New Jersey, all Remax Select 2024 or New Jersey Realtor documents. Dotloop will probably never be 100%. I can't figure out why they keep disappearing from us. We've added all these forms on each MLS, but again, if you're missing a form, it'll just be on these two. Next week, like I said earlier, we're going to show you guys how to create your folders. So if, so I hope you guys can join us. So if you, for example, if you don't want to create a loop because you don't know if it's going to go through and you're just trying to pull documents, we're going to show you guys how to create your profile as well as creating your folder and add your own personal documents that you want to just have handy so you don't have to go through creating a loop. Do you guys have any questions for me before I let you guys go? Just remember, please register for the holiday party. If you guys are bringing a +1, it's $100. You would need to contact me directly and I'll give you the credit card form. Also, please don't forget to vote. Next week, I see Pella's on. She's going to help me with Dotloop creating you guys folders and it'll make it easier. She's been using it too. So she said it's very easy and simple. So I hope you guys get to join. She's looking at me blankly like, I cannot believe you just volunteered me. I hope you guys have a great day. Next week, also, I have a guest speaker regarding solar panels, which will also help you guys. So I hope you guys will be on next week. I hope you have a wonderful day and go vote. Bye.